Welcome to the news on NTA International. I am Stella Inameti. Shagun Ajay is the sign language interpreter. Let's begin with the headlines. Federal government reiterates commitment to enhancing welfare of people in Niger Delta region. Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency monitors water levels in dams and waterways nationwide to avert flooding. Sudanese army denies targeting World Food Programme convoy delivering aid to famine-hit areas in Darfur. Thanks for joining us. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, has reiterated President Tinubu's commitment to enhancing the welfare of the Niger Delta region. Akume stated that the administration is poised to address some of the region's challenges. SGF was speaking when a delegation from the Niger Delta Ethnic Nationalities Youth Leaders Forum, led by its chairman and president of the Joy Youth Council Worldwide, Sir Jonathan Lukbobiri, paid him a courtesy visit in Abuja. Akume highlighted some of the president's efforts in tackling regional challenges, including the establishment of the University of Environmental Technology in Ogoniland to address ecological issues. He acknowledged past initiatives such as the Ministry of Niger Delta Development Commission, and the Amnesty Program. The SGF commended the forum for their solidarity in mobilizing grassroots support for President Tinubu's re-election, emphasizing the importance of zoning and power rotation in promoting national unity, stability, and a sense of belonging. Sir Jonathan Lukbobiri thanked President Tinubu for his timely intervention in resolving the crisis in Rivers State and bringing peace and stability. He expressed gratitude to the federal government for empowering youths from the Niger Delta through the Amnesty Program. The International Organization for Migration has reiterated its commitment to supporting Nigeria in finalizing a national financing strategy for sustainable solutions for persons of concern. This assurance was made during a visit by the IOM Deputy Director General of Operations to the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons in Abuja. Ruth Agwele reports.
Migration dialogue continues to be a source of concern for nations, and this Nigeria takes seriously by working towards having a comprehensive national migration policy, which is top priority for the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons. This solidarity visit by a delegation of the International Organization for Migration is to reaffirm its support for the national strategy on migration, enhance effective data management for migrants and displaced persons, to advance durable solutions and ensure migration is safe, regular and dignified.
And we will support the operationalization of the two sub-working groups, one for data and solutions and one for security and protection, while emphasizing the importance of harmonizing the data. We commend NCFRMI for initiating the revision of the policy.
The Commission is trying to see that we provide a regular solution as against handouts given out to our vulnerable ones. Now we are building skill acquisition centers to scope that to go through the 6 resources that we have in this country.
For both parties, they hope to strengthen partnership to operationalize the return, reintegration and reconciliation of migrants across the country, while upscaling efforts for legal pathways that will promote regular migration. In Abuja, Ruth Aguela, NTA News.
The National Information Technology Development Agency, NIDDA, in a bid to make Nigeria an information technology-enabled nation that will foster economic and technological innovations, plans to host the Digital Nigeria International Conference with the inauguration of its local organizing committee in Abuja. Francis Udojo tells us more.
The 2025 Digital International Conference with the theme Innovation for a Sustainable Digital Future, Accelerating Growth, Inclusion and Global Competitiveness is a flagship conference planned to create opportunities and engagement for participants across the entire digital ecosystem. The local organizing partners, which include NTA, is to help plan strategies that will position Nigeria towards maximizing benefits associated with effective governance, digital economy, as well as cyber security.
This year's conference will be looking at how we can position ourselves effectively to tap from the offerings of digital the digital economy and the digital technologies that are available out there.
We have the vision, for instance, to ensure that we make Nigeria an IT-enabled nation, fostering inclusive economic development through technological innovation. And it's that vision that we are pursuing, trying to see how we can pursue that vision in line with the 8-point agenda of Renewed Hope.
The conference is also expected to promote small and medium-scale enterprises in the digital space. Francis Udojo, NT News.
Acting Chairman of the Federal Character Commission, Kayode Oladile, has held strategic talks with the Managing Director of the Nigeria Sovereign Investment Authority, Aminu Omar Sadiq, in Abuja, as both agencies join forces to drive inclusivity in national investment initiatives. The meeting held at the Commission's headquarters focused on aligning the operations of the NSIA with the Federal Character Principle, a policy designed to promote fairness and equal representation across Nigeria's diverse regions. The two leaders discussed ways to ensure that investment-driven development projects reflect the country's diversity and reach underserved communities.
Together, we can develop a framework that ensures projects are distributed fairly across the Federation, that procurement processes give opportunities to businesses from all regions, including women, youth, and persons with disabilities, and that the jobs and skills generated by NSIA-funded projects are equitably shared among Nigerians.
Everybody is a shareholder in the institution, and therefore, irrespective of profitability, irrespective of traffic, irrespective of the willingness and ability to pay in certain jurisdictions of the country, it is fundamental, it is important that all Nigerians feel the impact of our institution.
The discussions mark a significant step towards institutional cooperation, and both the NSIA and the Federal Character Commission have committed to working closely in the coming months to develop joint strategies and monitoring systems. Sudanese army has denied targeting a World Food Programme convoy delivering aid to famine-hit areas in Darfur. The Rapid Support Forces had blamed the army for the airstrike in Melit, a town under RSF control. Kolo Mohammed tells us more.
The program said 3 out of the convoy's 16 trucks were damaged and caught fire, but all staff were saved. The organization is assessing the full impact and gathering more information. Sudan has been in a civil war since April 2023, after a power struggle erupted between the army and the Rapid Support Forces, triggering one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. Both sides have used drones in their conflict, and attacks on aid operations have become frequent.
The route that the convoy was going to take was shared in advance with the parties on the ground who were notified and aware of the location.
The convoy was heading towards a famine-affected village near Melit, about 90 kilometers northwest of Al-Fasher, where the RSF has besieged for over a year. Both the army and the RSF have been accused of obstructing aid deliveries and using starvation as a weapon of war. In June, 5 aid workers were killed in similar attack in Al-Fasher. So far, tens of thousands have died. 12 million people have been displaced, and over 4.5 million refugees, mostly women and children, have fled to neighboring countries. Kolo Mohammed, NTA News.
Thailand's suspended Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra testified on Thursday in a case seeking her removal from office over her handling of the kingdom's border rule with Cambodia. Paetongtarn, daughter of controversial but influential billionaire ex-Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra, is accused of failing in her duties by not standing up for the country properly in a call with former Cambodian leader Hun Sen, audio of which was leaked online. The Constitutional Court, which ousted her predecessor as Prime Minister a year ago, in a separate ethics case, will rule next Friday on whether Paetongtarn should be thrown out of office. The court suspended Paetongtarn from office last month and summoned her to answer questions in the case on Thursday, her 39th birthday. Dressed in a black business suit, Paetongtarn smiled and greeted reporters as she arrived at court in Bangkok with prominent Lecturer, a top advisor who is named in the case with her. In what Ukrainian Foreign Ministry described as the need for diplomatic strength be exerted to ensure outright plus immediate ceasefire, Moscow has continued to pound Ukraine with drones and ballistic missiles. Last night, one person was killed and dozens wounded in the west of Ukraine. Kolo Mohammed tells us more.
Russia has launched hundreds of drones and missiles on western Ukraine overnight in one of the heaviest bombardments in recent weeks. Ukrainian officials said strikes were reported in Zaporizhia and Lviv, where one person was killed and dozens wounded. Ukrainian Foreign Ministry say the strikes highlighted where diplomatic efforts to end the war and stronger air defense were critical. This comes as Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky suggested Switzerland, Austria, or Turkey as possible venues for potential peace talks with his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin. In other news, some 800 ships joined by thousands of smaller boats sailed from Ujven along the Northern Sea Canal before entering the Javin Harbour. Crowds lined the waterways to watch the procession, which includes naval ships, heritage vessels, the Dutch fleet, and modern craft. Sail is held every 5 years and last drew 2.3 million viewers in 2015. The 2020 edition was cancelled due to the pandemic at the time. And President of Cameroon, Paul Biya, aged 92, is poised to seek an 8th term in office in the October elections. Now faces a significant legal battle. Akere Tabeng Muna, a prominent opposition candidate and former bar president, has filed a formal petition with the Constitutional Council alleging that Paul Biya is constitutionally ineligible to run under Article 118 of the Electoral Code. The notion cites Biya's advanced age, recurrent health absences, and presumed dependency on third parties as grounds for disqualification. The ruling is expected this Friday at 11 a.m. local time. Kolo Muhammad, NTA News.
The Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency is actively monitoring water levels in dams and waterways nationwide. The agency is also collaborating with civil society and non-governmental organizations to promote flood mitigation efforts. Musa Babaliu reports.
The rains are intensifying, pouring more water than the soil can absorb easily. The excess water is now flowing into rivers, streams and lakes, raising concerns about flooding. The Director General of the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency, Umar Mohammed, said dams across the country are not under threat due to the high volume of water for now.
We are monitoring the river water levels. Now, as at the moment now, the water level in our rivers is high. So now it's dangerous for us to start releasing water from dams.
He emphasized that advocacy remains critical to ensure the safety of communities along riverbanks, urging residents to evacuate to safer areas. This therefore brought about this meeting with the Northern Christian Professionals Association. The association pledged to collaborate with the agency on its awareness campaigns and sensitization efforts.
Our hands are open for any innovation, any assistance through communication, or any support from anywhere.
To the First Lady, help us tell her that we are saying thank you. She was in Niger State. She helped our people, 1 billion naira. We appreciate it. The dams should be looked into and to ensure that when water is released, we don't have to be frightened and get the people, carry the people along in all of this.
The professionals also passed a vote of confidence in President Bola Tinubu's administration, commending its economic reforms and efforts to promote local government autonomy. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
You're watching the news on NTA International. We'll take a break now. More reports when we return. Welcome back and thanks for staying. The Sokoto Rima River Basin Development Authority has announced the release of water from Goronyo Dam as part of precautionary measures aimed at regulating the rising water level and preventing any potential flooding. Dalhatu Abdullahi has more.
The water level of the Goronyo Dam in Sokoto State, which by August is not expected to rise above 288 million cubic meters, has already reached 285.47 million cubic meters. With the reservoir aging close to its critical threshold, authorities initiated a controlled release of the water to protect the dam's integrity and avoid possible flooding. Sokoto Lima River Basin Development Authorities explained that the release was a precautionary measure aimed at averting disaster that could affect thousands of lives and farmlands along the downstream. In the wake of this development, residents and communities living along the river banks are strongly advised to remain vigilant, relocate from flood-prone areas, and strictly adhere to safety directives issued by emergency agencies. The authority assured that the water released is being carefully managed, but warned that disregard for safety advisories could expose vulnerable households to avoidable risks.
We must regulate the flood that is coming into the reservoir. Therefore, we are calling the downstream users always, those are the farmers, fishermen, canoe riders, and everybody, that they should align their work based on our action plan always, in order to save the life of people.
Insecurity is the major challenges facing us in this dam, because without security, you can't stay here in order to control this dam. The dam needs each and every minute. You want the person to be here.
This controlled action underscores the delicate balance between sustaining water for agriculture and domestic use while ensuring public safety from the threats of overflow. In Sokoto, Dalhatu Abdullahi, NTA News.
Agricultural researchers from the West and Central Africa regions are meeting in Abuja to advance practice principles in foresight analysis. Kelvin Obinuari reports that the forum is geared towards enhancing the capacity of agricultural researchers in anticipating future challenges and prepare for uncertainties in food production.
This community of practice was established to bring together experts to shape evidence-based policies that will benefit farmers and scientists in the two regions. This meeting, hosted by the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria, is therefore to sharpen participant foresight analysis methods and tools, drawing experiences from successes in application in Senegal and other countries.
I encourage you to engage actively in the knowledge-sharing process. The challenges facing the agricultural system will require collective wisdom, shared expertise, and coordinated action.
I'm therefore confident that the discussions, exchanges, and partnerships will foster practical recommendations and concrete action plans. Together, we will ensure that foresight analysis remains a strong lever for climate-smart agriculture, innovation, and sustainable development across West and Central Africa.
The community of practice is actually a tool for the region to be able to mainstream foresight analysis and system thinking into research, but also development program and policy in the region. So this is a strategic tool not only for CORAF but also for all of the institutions under CORAF umbrella, especially ARCL in Nigeria.
Outcomes from the meeting are expected to assist the activities of the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria in helping the full security agenda of government. In Abuja, Kelvin Ewonwaye, NTA News.
The Nigeria Employers Consultative Association, NECA, and the Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, CISLAC, have entered into a partnership aimed at promoting decent work and strengthening the ease of doing business in the country. The two organizations signed a memorandum of understanding to drive research and advocacy on legislation that protects workers' rights, builds capacity, and fosters a safe and productive working environment. At the heart of the collaboration is support for businesses, particularly those in the informal sector, through initiatives such as business formalization, provision of grants, tax relaxation, and other policies designed to boost economic growth.
Employers and civil society can find common ground in recognizing that when workers strike, businesses prosper and society flourishes. Employers know that a competent, motivated workforce is the greatest asset any enterprise can have. Civil society knows that justice in the workplace is justice in the nation.
For you to grow, real economic growth, you have to get the informal sector to progressively be formalized. And they won't be formalized except you create that environment for them to formalize. And those environments, and which our MOU has captured, are part of our advocacy, is removing regulatory bottlenecks, advocating for ease of doing business.
Memorandum of Understanding is to run for an initial period of 3 years, subject to review. Healthcare professionals have called on the federal government to subsidize the cost of managing diabetes and its medications, monitoring devices, and also alleviate sufferings of patients. This was during the 5th annual Ogun Youth Diabetes Camp held at Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library, Abeokuta. Yemi Dalemo completes the report.
Worried by the spike in the number of people dying from diabetes, healthcare professionals lament that the cost of anti-diabetic drugs and monitoring devices has risen beyond the reach of many Nigerians living with the disease, as they can no longer achieve diabetes control as recommended by the International Diabetes Federation. Dr. Olubiyi Adesina and Oseven Kochima observed that the exorbitant cost of insulin and others are overwhelming patients and straining hospitals, leading to the increasing number of Nigerians requiring emergency care due to untreated diabetes complications.
It's much more difficult living with diabetes and paying out of pocket for it these days. So, but that's where medical insurance come up. So if a lot of these people are able to get into medical insurance, it will reduce their day-to-day costs.
Also, we want to give the message to the government to please take the center stage, because living with diabetes globally, especially in Nigeria, is very expensive and difficult.
Wife of the former president Olusegun Obasanjo, Mrs. Bola Obasanjo, and some participants believe that there is hope for people living with diabetes, as they can also achieve their aims in life.
If Baba Obasanjo should be still bouncing around at that age of 80-something, very close to 90, and is a diabetic client for over 35 years, they can do better.
what I get from here is how to properly manage diabetes, especially type 1, the use of insulin, how to manage hyper and hypoglycemia, what to do in such cases, how do you monitor your blood glucose level.
Stakeholders advocated for a better lifestyle for Nigerians, saying that Nigeria behavioral and lifestyle factors contribute greatly to the good lifestyle expected of the people. In Abuja, Yemi Dalemo, NT News.
Good governance, justice, inclusiveness, building peace and strong institutions, societal collaborative approach have been identified as key factors in ending threats to domestic peace and security in Nigeria. This formed core of the lecture delivered by renowned diplomat and former Chief of Staff to late President Muhammadu Buhari, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, to Warfare Course 9 participants, Naval War College, Nigeria. Paul Abel completes the report.
9 participants, as part of their training at the operational level in this lecture on methods and processes to curbing and restoring peace and conflict resolution mechanism, are told that a military solution may not thrive in all conflict situations, as they are taken through the history of global conflicts, approaches which include identifying the problem, sound business environment, equitable distribution of resources, respect for rights of others, and human rights capacity development, among others.
Lasting peace can only be brought in areas of conflict if there is good governance, if the whole nation and the whole society team together to end threats to domestic peace and security, and also very strong institutions.
Others are mechanisms for conflict resolution, namely negotiations, mediation, arbitration, litigation, collaboration, cultural diplomacy, and obstacles to conflict resolution.
In the peace process, you will always have spoilers. And as I said, some are homegrown, some are externally induced. And the best approach is really, in my view, sticks and carrots. You isolate try to isolate the spoilers.
Again in South Africa, he received the highest national award conferred on a non-citizen.
Participants also engaged the guest lecturer in an interactive session on peacemaking and identifying spoilers in peace processes, as they tapped from the more than 40 years experience of the diplomatic icon. In Calabar, Paul Abel, NTA News.
We have come to the end of the news. I am Stella Inamiti. Shagun Ajayi has been the sign language interpreter. Thanks for watching.